Hi guys, and welcome to today's task. For today's task, I'm going to show you my favorite part of pretty much all the remodels I've ever done, and that is to trim out the house. I like putting in new outlets, new outlet covers, new light switches, new light switch covers, especially if you're not really changing much in the room. That really does update it quite a bit. And one of the things we got to do is update this old light fixture. Now it does work, it does have power coming to it, and we need to shut power off and then start changing it out. Power is off, but I'm going to put my tube tracer up here just in case to verify. First things first is we're going to take out the bulbs, which I already have done, and take the glass off. These glass pieces are usually held by a decorative kind of acorn nut is what they call it. So you pull that, pull your glass down, and then you've exposed everything that you need to get into. One thing to make note of is if it's a very old fixture, this house was built in ¡66, this fixture is probably original to the home, it is going to have the beautiful, beautiful flathead screws, which are a nightmare to get out. Usually you have to kind of cut into them a little bit to get your screwdriver in, and I hate them so badly. Okay, when you pull an old light out, you might see a black and a white wire for your hot and for your neutral. Now, there also is a copper wire attached to the box, because this box is metal. It's grounding out this box, which is grounding out the light fixture. So we're going to undo all of those nuts now. Sometimes they're just so old that they'll just spin. They don't really want to undo, so you're okay to just cut them. Before I cut and strip these wires, I want to finish getting these screws out. And once I get it to this point, it's just kind of easier by hand. And definitely throw these screws away. I don't like to throw old screws away because I use them everywhere, but these ones are garbage. Anything with a flathead I toss because I can't stand using them. Now I'm going to expose a little bit of wire on each of these and prep them for new fixture. So I'll strip it back just a little bit. And this stuff might not slide off that well because it's super, super old. But usually I'll try to strip off about 3/4 of an inch. The next step is to grab your new piece of mounting hardware, which is this little bracket that will mount to the box. And then in the light, typically, it will come with a bag with a couple of wire nuts, one for your hot, cold, and ground, and then 2 screws that will mount this plate to your box. I'm using this particular ladder today because it has a little bit of a platform for me to put stuff on. I have a couple different ladders, and this one is what I like to trim out with, at least for lights. It's a right height, it's not too bulky, and I use the heck out of this top plate. I see which ones line up, so I'll grab a screw and mount it to it. And a little tip, whenever tightening anything down, if there's multiple screws, leave one kind of loose so you can wiggle the part around a little bit. That goes for anything you're screwing in. Get them both lined up and then screw it in. A little tighter. Now I'm going to get these wires so they're just barely exposed because I don't need a lot to work with here. Next step is to grab your light fixture, your new light fixture, and kind of definitely go through the instructions first to see a little bit of order of how you want to do this. And then also get yourself familiar with what wires you have. This plain wire, any bare exposed wire like this is most likely going to be your ground. And then typically the black wire is your hot wire and the white wire is your neutral wire. And if you look at these, they're terminated so nicely. I mean, that is just, I don't know, that's just good looking wiring to me. And I'm really impressed with the lights that Bonnie picked out for this house. They're from Lamps Plus. I will leave a link in the description for this particular light and for their website. Because everything has to dangle in the air, I really like to take my ground wire and get it set first. And I wrap it around and then tighten it up. Okay, next I'll grab my wire nuts and I try to do a pattern every single time. I like to do the neutral first to get it out of the way. Make sure that is on there good and tight. And make sure nothing's exposed up on top of the wire nut. And a little trick, when it comes to wire that has frayed wiring inside or multiple strand wiring as opposed to just single strand wiring, I like to put that in the wire nut first, just lightly, and then shove it onto the next piece of wiring that it's going to go on. And just turn till it grabs both. And you should be able to tell. Shove your wire nuts back up in. Take off these acorn nuts. Look how nice of a finish these acorn nuts are. They are so good looking. That is just detail. Even though this is going to be covered, it's not going to be really visible at all, but that's just detail that went into this light, and I really like it. Okay. And then we line up our two holes. And this may be a little more arduous than you would think. Okay, there's one. And got it. And two. Uh-oh. One acorn nut is tight. And do the other one. And that's about as good orientation that's gonna have. Okay, perfect. That light fixture is good and tight on there. Oh, dummy Joel. Why didn't anybody tell me? Why didn't you guys tell me? Come on. What do you say? Hey Joe, you idiot, there's a light sticking out of there. So it's good to make sure all your wires are buried behind this. Stinking dummy Joel. Okay, now that we got that wire all uncovered and set back in, we'll tighten these up one more time. Next, we will grab our light bulbs to put them in. And it's okay if you need to kind of bend these down just a little bit to help those light bulbs fit. That's totally fine. This last little piece is the bowl shape that will sit like this, but you have to take these acorn nuts off first before you do. Be careful, do not lose them. That's why I like that top of that ladder, is to just kind of set stuff that I want to keep track of. And I really like this light that Bonnie chose, because it's this like brushed nickel look or stainless steel look is one of my favorite looks. And she picked these ones especially because they do not have the center mount, because everybody has the center mount and nobody likes what they look like. And this is where it gets a little tedious, is you have to reach on top and get that acorn nut to sit up there, and then slowly tighten it up. Now that everything's back together, we'll turn the power back on and then turn our light switch on. And voila, there we go. That is a super awesome looking light fixture. Hopefully you guys learned something, or hopefully it gave you a little bit of confidence into changing your own light fixtures. They're super easy. It's a good way to update your rooms or a house. And changing a light fixture is a relatively cheap way to change your room's feel and dynamic. When you do, I definitely recommend you change the coloration of the bulbs as well, so it makes the room feel possibly brighter or just a little more modern, or if you're going for that kind of a look. Anyway, if you guys learned something from today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. If you guys are interested in purchasing a Today's Task hat, I will leave the information in the description. They are $35 and that includes shipping to your doorstep. We'll see you guys next time. For today's task, I am going for today's task, but it does still work, so if you want to replay, we are to my favorite part, the light fixture. So when you pull this down, you typically, now with this, hello? People don't know I'm filming. Next, oop, almost fell over. We got them from light, no, what? Huh? I always, because